Hey everybody, welcome to With Bowl and Spoon, a podcast about food, eating it, growing it, preserving it, loving it, and exploring how it shapes who we are, our personal food evolution. I'm Shelley, a home cook with a master's in food studies, a gardener, a longtime advocate for food sovereignty, and your host. Today, I'm excited to share my conversation with Kim Flurry, a retired Pittsburgh Public School teacher turned bone broth entrepreneur. Her journey started with a personal health challenge that led her to create AKLW Bone Broth, a nutrient-packed sipping broth. Kim has deep food roots, literally and figuratively. Her grandfather's backyard was full of chickens, fruit trees, berries, and bees, and she's a direct descendant of Mosiana Millage, who brought soul food to Great Britain. We talk about what it takes to move from home cooking in a crock pot to commercial production in a commercial kitchen, what it means to cook with energy and intention, and why knowing yourself, your moods, your boundaries, your passions, is such an important part of being an entrepreneur. Kim's bone broth isn't just about flavor, it's about nourishment. Many of her first clients were cancer patients because the bone broth is rich in nutrients and electrolytes. We also talk about teaching, independence, health, and the powerful simplicity of sipping bone broth every day. Kim's story is one of grit, heart, and evolution. I hope you enjoy our talk. Kim Flurry from A Kind Loving World, or AKLW Bone Broth. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about your business?
Greetings. I make a frozen bone broth, turkey chicken, with no preservatives, no additives, and no shelf stabilizers. So my product is sold frozen. It's very nutritious. Calcium, magnesium, helps with dehydration, the multiple benefits of bone broth.
How did you get started in the bone broth business?
So a few years back, I had an illness that required that I be home for 2 months, and I was misdiagnosed with asthma, and I needed open heart surgery because I had a mass 9 centimeters by 4 inside my heart, and that's what was causing me to have trouble breathing. And so after the surgery, I had to heal. And I was off work for 2 months, and my friends would bring me bone broth, and I was like, this is not what I want it to taste like. And so I started working on my own, and I remembered how my mother used to make it, and so I started out making it like her from a regular carcass, and then did research and created the product I have now.
Growing up, did you cook a lot with your mom?
Not with my mom, I just cook. Really, I'm kind of a better cook than my mom. Hers was more out of necessity. Mine is out of flavor.
Okay. So where did you grow up?
So we moved around a lot. I started out, I lived in Washington, D.C. for a while, and then we moved to Pittsburgh. And I lived in Penn Hills, Homewood, Brushton.
So your family's from the D.C. area?
No.
Oh, okay. You just lived there for a little bit?
She had a friend down there, and we went down there for a period of time.
Okay. So then you lived in Pittsburgh area?
All my life, basically.
Okay. And was there food involved in your family? Was food a big part of that?
So I don't know if it was a big part, but historically, I am related to the chef for Juliette Lowe, the founder of Girl Scouts. She cooked soul food.
And what was her name?
Her name is Mosiana Millage, and we're a direct descendant of her. And so Juliette Lowe took her everywhere she went. And so she took her to England, and the king, I can't remember which king it was at that time, she taught that king's chef how to cook soul food, and rice was one of her strengths. And that woman, her name was Rosa something, she went on to create her own business for the elites of England during that time.
So you're a descendant of the woman who brought soul food to England. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
That's really cool.
We found that out through one of those DNA tests of my uncle, my cousin and I.
So was there, did you guys have a garden? Was there food in your family like that?
My grandfather was a serious gardener. They said before I was born they had chickens running around, and I'm really sorry I missed that.
Chickens are fun.
Yeah, they said that rooster was kind of mean to kind of chase them around the yard.
That's why they end up in the stock pot.
Yes. So my grandfather, everything he touched grew. Both my grandfather and my grandmother were growers, and my grandfather had different types of cherries, watermelons, peaches, pears, grapes, any type of food, berries, strawberries. We had honeybees, anything that grew, he had. And then my grandmother did flowers. They had a club called Stoop and Bend that was a group of African American women out there that were gardeners, and they would come together and have events and go different places and sell their products. And my grandmother is known for at the Civic Garden Center for growing a bicolor iris.
Oh, cool. What colors are they? Do you know?
I can't remember. I can just picture the yard having a rainbow of this one area of irises that started from white and ended up in a deep purple.
Wow.
And it was yellow orangish, light blue. Like, it was crazy beautiful.
Yeah, irises are amazing.
Yeah.
And she did some breeding with them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
But my other grandfather on my father's side was an entrepreneur, and he created a business called Walker's Movers that provided employment for men that got out of jail that were unable to get employment. So I kind of am the best of those two worlds of my grandfathers.
Tell me more about your broth.
So my clients that I've had so far have been cancer patients that are either going to go into surgery or have come out of surgery, or both. They ate my product, they indulged in my product before and after their surgery. It provides nutrition such as calcium, amino acids, magnesium, and it also provides, besides collagen, it also provides hydration, which I had a friend who had chemo and she couldn't keep anything down. And I said, why don't you try my product? And she did, and she said that's the only thing that she could keep down until she was able to get her strength together and eat regular food.
Oh, that's great. Does it have, it's got electrolytes?
Everything,
Yeah.
yes.
Nice.
That's for that help with the hydration too.
So I know I don't want to try and get your recipe, but tell me more about like the process it takes to create a bone broth.
So currently I'm in Catapult's kitchen, where I use a tilt skillet, which I've mastered the tilt skillet because it's not easy to come from a crock pot to a commercial kitchen. So
Oh, you started with the crock pot.
yeah, a crock pot at home was the experiment, and then I experimented on my coworkers. I'm like, you want to taste something? And I was the teacher that always cooked, so they would taste anything I made. But it's a slow process. It's cooked all day. It takes 12 hours. And
Wow.
so I thought that during that time period, I would be able to work on my other business, which is AKLW Gemstone Beaded Jewelry. But you're always in motion in a commercial kitchen. You clean before, you clean during, so that you can do the next phase of filling the packages, and then you clean after so that the next person can get to work as soon as they come. So it's like lifting weights. It's like a weight program.
It takes 12 hours, so you're there for, I'm guessing, like 15 hours?
Yes, sometimes.
It's a long day.
It is.
And it's constant attention to the details.
Well, yeah, because you have to make sure that the water level stays a certain way, because the tilt skillet gives off a certain amount of steam, but it's still, in order to get that taste, you still have to cook that much time. So no matter what. So
Because you got to get the goodness out of the
Yeah.
bones.
Yeah.
But you also, you roast the bones ahead of time. I've heard about roasting the bones, and I've roasted the bones, but I'm not really sure. I just sort of go through the motion. So what is the benefit to roasting the bones?
Flavor.
It pulls the flavor out of the... Okay.
Yeah, it gives it that richness.
All right. And you use herbs, and do you use like the fat from the chicken as well?
I use everything and then strain it after cooling it, during the cooling process, and then take off that layer of fat But some people like it when they're cooking with it, so it's hard to judge. But for drinking it, you don't want that fat.
Do you have like a with and without fat version of your product?
Not at this time. I just take it off for now.
Okay.
And then that would be more of a special order as I increase my product. And that's my next phase, to be able to make more of my product.
So what did you do before this?
So I am a retired Pittsburgh Public School teacher that was on special assignment for the last 7 years. My job, I was called a learning environment specialist, so I had a caseload of between 11 and 20 schools sometimes. So I've got great organizational skills, because you had to know where each school was in order to move them forward with culture and climate, and we supported a positive environment for teachers, educators, parents, children, for everybody.
So perfect skills to have to become an entrepreneur. You mentioned before that you're a life learner.
Mm-hmm.
And so have you taken some entrepreneurial classes? Or?
I have taken so many classes.
Okay.
So I'm a member of the University of Pittsburgh's SBDC, which I've been taking a series of classes with them. Catapult, we were in a program for 1 year before we went into the kitchen. I've taken SBDC's small business classes all over the United States. The last class I took, I was out in Oregon in a food-based class, Temple University. I've been all over the country taking classes. Chatham University, where I'm a member, the craft program was very helpful for me. As a life learner, I applied my strengths of a classroom teacher to how I did that to cooking and providing a product that I can be proud of.
And when you learn something, the best way to reinforce it in yourself is to teach others.
Eventually, that's definitely one of the goals, but I've learned that I have to now take care of what I need to do in myself. As an educator, you give to the children, the parents, the community, you give. So it's a different shift to stop for a minute and take care of what I need to do before I can give again. And a lot of people don't understand that, because for 25 years, my cup was empty because I gave everything I could. And so now I want my businesses to be the giver instead of myself. And so that was a slight change for me.
Yeah, I bet. So I know that you have a mentor. Can you talk about the mentorship?
So I searched long, hard, and wide to find a mentor. And through the class in Oregon, and then that connected me to, there was an organization at the university, Tuskegee University in Alabama. Then they connected me to the USDA, and I got to have a conversation with someone at the USDA. And then they informed me that there was a program just starting that connected with bone broth. And they gave me that contact information, and through that I got my mentor.
And who's your mentor?
He's out there in Oregon somewhere.
Okay.
Making
you
bone broth.
on the phone or
we do
Zoom
both.
Or something?
We Zoom. We started out on the phone, and then we moved on to Zoom. So I'll be sending him an update because I'm changing my logo. And so I'm going to send him my new picture of my new logo.
Oh, that's cool. So that's great. So why is it important to have a mentor?
Because I hit a lot of bumps along the road, because you don't know what you don't know until you come across and learn. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. So as an educator, I'm always searching for more information. Like, I've done so much research, and if you ask me something, if you had a need, I'd be like, oh, let me research that. Research is kind of the fiber of who I am. And so when you're making a product, food products in general, that's a hard business to get into. And so because I was an at-home cook didn't mean I was a commercial cook. So I had to learn what those steps were, how to clean the equipment, how to change my recipes to accommodate the equipment, because my first 3-4 batches I wouldn't even give to anyone. because I didn't get the recipe right. It took a great deal of time. And
it's really different when you're scaling up that extent.
And then it's even more than just scaling up. It's scaling up, and then it's one notch up, because it's that taste that you want to have, that specific taste. Being an A personality, I won't, settle for anything less than what I would drink and still drink. And so I learned a lot, and every place that I've gone, I've learned something that connected to the next thing. There wasn't any school that I could go to Bone Broth University and everything would be in one place, and I would learn everything at one time, give up that year or two, and just hit the road. So this process has probably been at least 5 years in the making, and I still strive for some things like increasing my product, getting the equipment, or working where the equipment is that would increase my product, so that I can expand to more than just person to person, that I could do person to businesses.
So you were doing this because you just retired maybe about a year ago,
yes.
Right? So you were doing at least 4 years of this while you were still teaching.
Yeah, I was tired.
I bet. So was it evenings, weekends?
Evenings. And so I'm the type of person, on my lunch break while I was eating lunch, I was doing research, or I was taking a class, or I would take a class that I would get the PowerPoint and do it when I got home, like while dinner was cooking. But most of all, I did mine at lunchtime. I'd go sit in the car. So there would never be any conflict of what I'm doing. I'm one of those people that's very rule governed. So I'd sit out in my car and take classes.
Wow. So you were double dutying.
Yeah.
Double tasking. Multitasking.
Yeah. I still get up at 4:30 in the morning like I did when I was at work. Yeah. Sleeping is 5.
Wow. Well, that's good for you. You only do turkey and chicken right now, poultry broth.
Yeah, just that combination at this time. In my mind, I want to do one at a time and perfect one at a time, because if you spread yourself out with too many, then which one do you start with? And there have been people who've approached me, and eventually I can do that, but I can't really. I need a taste tester, because I don't eat beef or pork. So I can't test it, and part of what I do is I taste.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have to taste it,
and
for
so
sure.
So I haven't had beef or pork in at least 30 years, so I'm not going to change now.
So were you a vegetarian at one point? Or
no, I've been kind of an old soul all my life, and so I have some friends that I met right out of high school, and they were the chamomile tea folks, and we talked about nutrition and that kind of stuff. And from that moment on, that's been something that I have investigated, because the pandemic really made me delve deep, because as an educator, we had to go into multiple schools and we were exposed to things. And in order to stay healthy, and especially having had that heart surgery, I had to make sure that my immune system was good. And so until I run out, I drink bone broth every day.
That's great.
Unless I get a client.
Using your own product, that's definitely telling.
Yes, I definitely stand by my product.
So it sounds like these friends that you mentioned, it sounds like they had a big influence on you. You want to talk more about that?
Yeah, I probably was born independent. So I had my first apartment at 18, right after graduation.
And what made you leave home like that?
Nothing wrong. I've just been very independent, and I wanted to see the world. I've always wanted to find out who I am. And so I like to meet different people and talk to them and see what their knowledge is. And I'm still very close with that family. That's like my other family.
So you moved in with the family? You rented a room from somebody? Or?
No, I had an efficiency apartment at 18.
Okay. So
and they were really cheap back then too.
Okay.
I got my first job at the National Record Mart downtown on Forbes Avenue, which was an amazing experience. My friends, that was when I had a really large group of friends, and you're 18, you kind of party a little bit. So we were going to concerts where I could get tickets, and we were front row for everybody.
That's sweet.
So we got to meet people, and I had the privilege of being front row for Bob Marley's last concert here in Pittsburgh, and his last concert ever was here at the Stanley Theater in Pittsburgh. Yes.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yes. And I have a grandson with the same birthday as Bob Marley.
Oh, wow. Wow, so that's cool. So you worked at National Record Mart and had your own apartment at 18, and then you met these friends that introduced you to chamomile tea and some other stuff. Talk more about that.
Yeah, astrology. We used to go to Shadyside. There used to be a place called the Sign of Aquarius, which was kind of ahead of its time, and we'd go in there and chat, and they had books that you couldn't find regularly, which you can find anywhere now, but about your birth sign and your birth chart and different things like that. And so it was a husband and wife team. I can't remember their names, but they had pyramids in there and all kind of stuff. It was a really cool place.
The whole energy,
yes.
hippy dippy kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Interesting. I mean, not. I didn't mean that offensive.
No,
but that kind of vibe. Yeah, that's neat. That was interesting stuff. And as a kid, that's something that you can be drawn to. But how did it shape the way that you think about food?
So I investigate everything. So on the journey of food also comes the journey of what is my part in providing this food. And then I have the same philosophy for my jewelry also. If I'm not in a positive space, then I'm not going to cook, I'm not going to make jewelry, because it's an extension of who I am. And so I want that positive energy to go out. So there have been times that I canceled my booking at the kitchen because I wasn't in the right space for it. Not to say that I was falling apart, but there's a certain energy you have to have and a certain joy you have to have when you provide things for other people. You have to know yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I shared with all of my schools, because in a public school system, you also have to know your triggers and how to address those triggers. I had this one little girl, and she would just go at me and I taught second grade. So she would verbally say stuff. She called me out with my name just to see my reaction. And at first, being a disciplinarian, you'd say, no, that's not appropriate. You can't call me that. And I could see the twinkle in her eyes, loving that reaction. So I said, well, this has to stop, because that would mess up I still had 24 other kids to deal with, and she was setting the tone for the day. And so I practiced smiling instead of frowning when she would say things, so that I could change my reaction, because she needed to see that physical change. And the next time she came into the room, and she called me out of my name, as she usually did, and I said, I'm going to check my birth certificate, but I'm not really sure that that's the name on there. And she kind of tilted her head like, and that was the last time she did it, because I threw her off. And I've always used humor. Yeah. I like to spread joy. And so from that moment on, we were fine. But as long as I gave her that negative energy, she took that as a compliment. And so I had to switch it and show, no, this is not how we should interact. And so from that moment on, we really had a positive relationship when she saw I just wasn't like everyone else.
You wonder what makes people sometimes, like, where did that come from? How did that become her?
I've learned a lot, and I do attribute that to being with Pittsburgh Public Schools and for 25 years. And I've learned a lot about people, children, communities. I was pretty naive when I started out. And I have a group of young men that call me mom, that we've been together since they've been in elementary school. And so as educators, we want to make a difference. A true educator wants to create change. They want to be an agent of change. And I think that I accomplished that. But I now want to be an agent of change in a different way, through food, through my bone broth, and through my gemstone beaded jewelry.
So what is next for your business?
Expansion.
Okay.
I have to find a way, affordable financial way, to be able to increase my product. A lot of this I have funded myself, but there comes a time when that has to stop. And so I'm preparing for that moment. I have a mentor with Chase Bank that I've been working with. Bridgeway Capital has helped me with my jewelry, so I have a relationship with them. And so when the time comes, what the next steps are, it will be with them in some way, shape, or form.
You got a whole team. That's fantastic. It's important to, I mean, as much of an independent person as you are, it's important to know that, you need other people's insight and you need those team members. That's great.
And this journey could not be a solo journey. I would never have gotten to the place. I would have never found the beginning of starting at Catapult. The little girl that does my hair, she's like, I heard about this program called Catapult, and they have a kitchen there. And I was like, okay, let me find out about it. And I researched it as usual. And they did have a program, but it was the first year, and it was closed. Nobody else could apply.
It was full, yeah.
So I got on the waiting list, and this next class comes, and I'm able to go. I'm able to participate. So it's the village. I've always been extremely independent, even as a child. But when you're doing food, and that's messing with somebody's life. And if you don't know what you're doing, you have to step away. And so, as I said before, I want to make sure that my product is all it can be. And I couldn't do that by myself. It would be like being a teacher that never went to college. I don't have any educational background to work with children. That would have been the same thing. And so I applied how I did my classroom, that I was always a life learner in the classroom, to the food business. And even the jewelry business also.
Where can people find your products?
So right now, I'm going to do a reboot in the fall because there's some equipment, some pricey equipment that I need to be able to get. And then also the label change is going to be big. And then a lot of the things that I'm doing everything. It's like turning my hat at each journey. I'm cooking, I'm packing, I'm putting the labels on the pouches. I'm making sure that they're at a certain temperature. Then the clients, and so I have a marketing person that I'm going to be working with to relaunch the bone broth business. But at this time, all the things that I didn't know on my journey, or I didn't learn, I've learned, and my collaboration with the University of Pittsburgh's SBDC has been amazing. And the support that I've received with them, with the business plan, and marketing and all those things. Once all those things are accomplished that I thought I knew but I didn't know, are in progress now to be completed on a time schedule for the fall.
That's always the tricky part, when you don't know what you don't know, and then you find out and you're like, what else don't I know? It's just real mind.
And then you have to run your own race, because now I'm in a kitchen that everybody's got their products moving, and I'm like, I'm not there. And so instead of stepping back and just focusing on myself and what I needed to do, I tried to keep up with other people, and that's never going to work because my product isn't like anyone else's. And so I had to step back, have that conversation with myself and say, you're not 100% ready right now. So take this time to finish learning, getting all your certificates. If you want to be USDA certified, now's the time. And getting all those things in place to move forward and never look backwards. Just step into the future.
So your product isn't available now?
Not right now.
So you're not selling anything right now. Are you doing? I know you've done pop-ups before.
Well, I'm not actually selling it. I'm
Okay.
sharing it for feedback. So now I'm working with a Google person, and so we're working on my Google business, whatever that is. And so
what does that mean? You're working with a Google person?
So she's helping me to do my Google business site. And
is she from Google?
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's neat. I didn't know they had that.
Yeah, she's local too. And so in that, because I met her at other events where she was teaching us. She's been at the University of Pittsburgh. She's been at a number of places that I've been. And so I was able to connect to her, and we had a conversation. And so I'm having different people taste it to give me feedback. And so what Google's going to be able to do is connect it so that they can send that feedback, that I would have a QR code, and that the feedback could go directly to that. So That's something else that I knew nothing about in my era in computers. I'm like, what? We're going to do what? But I've learned, she's taught me a lot. And so as we move forward, there's some technology things that have to be in place also for communication.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's neat. So you have a website.
I'm in the process of updating my website. So it is www.AKLWBonebroth.com.
Okay.
And so I'm going to, as I finish doing some paperwork, I'll be updating that because I've changed my containers. I'm waiting to finish my logo so that I can put the new logo on. We're meeting, a matter of fact, later on today. That's my next meeting to what colors it's going to be.
That's exciting.
It is very exciting because the first one was okay. It was a takeoff of what my grandson had created just by him eating it, a bowl and spoon.
Well, I'm very familiar with the bowl and spoon.
So my logo was a bowl and spoon with a heart in the middle, which he created that. But and it's to start out, it was good. But now I need my logo to represent me, and so I worked with a marketing person to get my thoughts into this creation. So I can't wait to unveil it. And,
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. So it represents me and my mission.
Well, Kim, I'm so glad that I know you and that we run into each other all the time at different networking events. And thank you so much for being on my podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an enjoyable experience, a new experience, and you've opened my eyes to a lot of things. So gratitude to you.
Well, thank you so much.
Everyone knows that food is cool. No secret. Eat that food with a bowl and spoon. Everyone knows that food is cool. No secret. Eat that food with a bowl and spoon. Lick that spoon. Bowl.
With Bowl and Spoon is written, produced and hosted by Shelley Danglade.
And spoon.
Original theme song was written and performed by Paul LeBreeze and friends. You can listen to With Bowl and Spoon wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe, like, review and share. Follow us and send us questions or messages on Facebook and Instagram at With Bowl and Spoon. Thanks for listening.